deep inside a forgotten part of the jungle, where sunlight barely touched the ground and the air always felt heavy with ancient secrets. A faint sound broke the silence, a soft crunching of leaves, uneven, like something struggling to walk. From behind the trees emerged a deer, limping, every step a visible fight. Its leg dragged slightly, blood dried against its fur. It didn't look up, it just kept walking, as if running from something or running toward something it couldn't explain. But the jungle is never empty. From the shadows, a pair of eyes watched, a wild dog alone, lean and hungry. Normally, it would have attacked without hesitation. That's how nature worked. Predator, prey. The deer was injured, vulnerable, an easy kill. Nature's rules were clear, and yet nothing happened. The dog stepped out slowly, not in silence, not as a hunter, but as something else entirely. The deer stopped, heart racing, muscles tight, but there was no growl, no chase. The wild dog came closer, its movements slow, deliberate, uncertain even. Then, something no one expected. The dog laid down just a few steps away, eyes fixed on the deer, but without threat. It was a standoff, a battle of wills, a predator choosing not to hunt. Time ticked by, marked by the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of birds. The deer shifted, its injured leg giving way momentarily. The dog didn't move, didn't make a sound. Hours passed. The sun began to drop behind the trees, and the forest sounds changed. Crickets chirped, tree frogs croaked, and the wind whispered through the canopy, carrying the scent of distant rain. Still, neither animal moved. The deer tried to step back but stumbled. The wild dog didn't react. Instead, it got up, walked a short distance away, and began to dig through the leaves and dirt. It unearthed something, roots, soft grass, maybe even water underneath. The deer watched, unsure, afraid, but the dog didn't look back. It simply waited. Slowly, the minutes turned into what seemed like hours, yet neither animal left. The sky deepened into twilight, the first stars beginning to appear. Finally, driven by instinct, or perhaps curiosity, the deer took a tentative step forward. Then another. The wild dog still hadn't moved its gaze from the spot beneath the trees. When the deer was close enough, it could see the dog had made a small pile of leaves and dirt. It wasn't a latrine. The dog had buried something, or maybe someone. The deer felt a sudden surge of sympathy, realizing the dog's strange behavior might not be aggression, but grief. Then, as if understanding the deer's confusion, the dog lifted its head and let out a low whine, a sound filled with sadness and longing. The deer froze, heart pounding. Was this a trick? Was the dog about to pounce? The whine continued, echoing through the trees, and the deer, unable to bear the suspense any longer, turned and fled. Moments later, crashing into thick undergrowth, the deer collapsed, exhausted, terrified. It didn't want to run anymore. It just wanted to hide. But as darkness fell, the forest sounds grew louder, more menacing. The deer trembled, wishing for the comforting growl of a predator, anything to ward off the unseen dangers of the night. Suddenly, a twig snapped nearby. The deer's eyes widened in terror. What was out there? Was it friend or foe? Slowly, hesitantly, the deer backed away from the bush, ready to bolt at the first sign of danger. And then the wild dog appeared, stepping out of the shadows, its eyes gleaming in the darkness. The deer's breath hitched. Was the dog bringing company? But no, the dog was alone. It whined again, then dropped to the ground, a few steps away from the deer, refusing to come closer. The deer, still trembling, realized the dog wasn't there to hurt it. It was waiting for what? The deer didn't know, but it decided to stay put and wait alongside the dog. They spent the night like that, the injured deer and the solitary wild dog, separated by a few feet but united in their vulnerability. As the first rays of sunlight touched the forest floor, the deer felt its strength returning. The limp was still there, but it no longer dragged its leg. The wild dog lifted its head, ears perked, and let out a sharp bark, then darted into the undergrowth. The deer watched, confused, until the dog reappeared with a small, furry creature in its mouth. The dog dropped the catch at the edge of the clearing and nudged it with its nose, whining softly. The deer realized it was a baby monkey. Its eyes closed, its body still warm. It hadn't seen its mother during their standoff, but now it understood. The wild dog had been protecting her baby, hiding it from predators while keeping a watchful eye on the deer. With renewed energy, the deer limped closer to the small monkey. It wasn't sure what it could do, but it felt compelled to help. As it approached, the wild dog snarled, baring its teeth, then dropped to the ground, submitting. The deer gently nudged the baby monkey with its nose, trying to wake it. It wasn't sure if it was possible, but it felt compelled to try. The monkey stirred, let out a weak squeak, and opened its eye. The deer watched, relieved, as the tiny creature clung to life. But the monkey was cold and scared. The deer realized it needed warmth and comfort, something only its mother could provide. With a sense of urgency, the deer approached the wild dog, who watched intently. The deer looked back, then raced into the dense undergrowth, disappearing from sight. Moments later, the wild dog followed, moving with surprising agility despite its size. The deer had found a cozy hollow in the base of a large tree. The space was small, but it was sheltered and hidden, perfect for a mother and her baby. As the wild dog entered, the deer turned, revealing something incredible. In its mouth, it held a clump of leaves and vines. Carefully, the deer dropped the bundle at the center of the hollow, creating a makeshift bed for the injured monkey. The wild dog whined softly, then nudged the leaves with its nose, showing the deer it approved. Together, the unlikely duo cared for the baby monkey, sharing what little food they had. The deer nibbled on leaves and grasses, occasionally regurgitating some for the monkey to eat. The dog lapped at a nearby stream, then brought water back to keep the monkey hydrated. For several days, they looked after the baby monkey, protecting it from harm and ensuring it got the care it needed. Slowly, the monkey began to recover. It grew stronger, more active, and its cries became less frequent and more playful. But as the monkey regained its strength, the wild dog grew weaker. Each day it became more lethargic, spending long periods lying in the shade, its eyes dull and unfocused. The deer noticed and shared its food and water with the dog, trying to give it the nourishment it needed. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the wild dog gathered its remaining strength and walked to the edge of the clearing. It barked once, a sharp, piercing sound, then collapsed, its eyes staring blankly at the sky. The deer rushed to its side, nudging it with its nose, but the wild dog didn't respond. It was gone, its body growing cold in the fading light. The deer stayed with the dog, refusing to leave its side. Even as the moon replaced the sun and the forest sounds grew louder. In the morning, the deer noticed a baby monkey was missing. It searched for signs of movement, then spotted the little creature clinging to a nearby tree. The monkey chattered excitedly, beckoning the deer to follow. As the deer approached, the monkey jumped down and scurried to the base of the same large tree where the deer had found shelter. It gestured with excited squeals, urging the deer to follow. Curious, the deer obliged, moving aside the leaves and vines to reveal the entrance to the hollow. Inside, the walls were covered with markings, not scratches or bite marks, but intricate patterns etched into the wood. The deer circled, confused, until it noticed something else, a pile of bones in the corner, picked clean. Then it dawned on the deer. This wasn't just a hollow tree, it was a burial ground. The dog had brought the monkey here, knowing this was a safe place. But why did the dog choose this spot? Why this particular tree? As the deer pondered, its gaze fell on a small protrusion near the ceiling, half hidden by vines. The deer carefully pushed away the foliage, revealing a carved face, a depiction of a dog with its head held high. In that moment, the deer understood. The dog hadn't just been a protector, it had been a leader, guiding, caring, teaching. It had chosen the deer to carry on its legacy, to ensure the monkey's survival. The deer looked around the burial chamber, realizing the dog hadn't just dug a hole in the ground, it had built a tomb, a final resting place for those it loved. With newfound respect and understanding, the deer bowed its head, acknowledging the dog's sacrifice. As the sun streamed through the canopy, bathing the chamber in golden light, the deer felt a sense of gratitude for the wild dog, a creature that defied expectations, proving that even predators have hearts. No one knows why it happened. Maybe the dog had once been injured too. Maybe the deer reminded it of something lost. Or maybe deep in the heart of this untamed jungle, a different rule exists. One we don't understand, one that says, even nature has moments of grace. The deer vanished into the jungle after that, stronger, walking on its own. The wild dog remained behind, looking once more toward the forest. It had always called home this time, not as a predator, but as a protector. Stories like this don't come often, but when they do, they remind us that survival isn't always about dominance. Sometimes it's about compassion, even from the most unexpected places. For more powerful stories from deep within the wild, like, comment, and subscribe to Jungle Echoes Rescue and Mystery Where Nature Speaks, and we listen.